Hello everyone, this is Lord Rimuru. I am here to bring you guys fanfiction that you will surely enjoy. But before we get on to the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more amazing content. Ch.4. The Slime Demon Lord. 2 weeks had passed since the fact that Hajime was the weakest of them all became known. Hajime trained as much as possible, and the rest of the time he spent reading about the world to get more information than the church provides. Sigh. Hajime sighed after reading the book. He stood up and picked up his status card. Name: Nagumo Hajime. Age: 17. Class: Synergist. Blessings: Crest of the Storm. Level: 2 Strength, 12 Vitality, 12 Stamina, 12 Agility, 12 Magic Power. Magic Resistance: 12. This was the result of 2 weeks hard work. Ridiculous. Let's compare with Kuki. Name: Amanogawa Kuki. Age: 17. Class: Hero. Level: 10 Strength, 200 Vitality, 200 Stamina, 200 Agility, 200 Magic Power, 200 Magic Resistance, 200. His growth rate is frightening. Rimuru doesn't like to show his status board, so no one knows how much he's grown. Hajime overheard Kuki saying something like, "No one sees him training. He must be arrogant because of his initial statuses, but it's obvious that we'll surpass him." He seems to be a little jealous of Rimuru's strength. By the way, Rimuru does train. Hajime just doesn't know where. The early risers are Hajime and Rimuru. The two always see each other when they leave the room, but Hajime doesn't know where Rimuru trains. He never looks tired, it's almost as if he doesn't need sleep. Hajime has found that his affinity for magic is very low, so to cast a spell more mana is spent, and also larger or more complex magic circles need to be made. In addition, it is necessary to make bigger corners. Basically, Hajime is terrible at magic. After reading some more about this world, Hajime wondered if he should run away and take a trip. He had no attachment to this war, but he gave up on the idea because he realized that with his current strength he would die at the first magical beast or bandit he found. Hajime thought about asking his brother to go along, but he has some friends among the students and Hajime didn't think Rimuru would want to get away from them. Besides, he didn't want to depend on Rimuru for everything. Actually, what I want most is to see demi-humans. Imagine a girl with rabbit ears. Hajime muttered. But the church said that demi-humans were a god-forsaken race, so it was hard to see a demi-human here in the kingdom. The reason the church said that was because demi-humans couldn't use magic, and since the church had faith that magic was something created by God, everyone in the Haihiri kingdom hated demi-humans. The Baharuth Empire, which was a human country to the east, used demi-humans as slaves, but the influence of the church in the kingdom was so great that people didn't like to use them even as slaves because they hated having them around. Hajime was currently reading about the Great Dungeons. Few of them have been discovered, but there are reports that there are 10 in total. But let's talk about the morning training with Captain Meld. Today was the first training with magic beasts. They gave the students weakened magic beasts to kill on the battlefield. For the others it was an easy task. For Hajime? Obviously I was horrible. Hajime thought and continued reading. At the moment Rimuru was going to go train. Not mine, of course. Rimuru had full control over his magic. He is training the magic of this world. Actually, not really training. He does magic experiments and Seal analyzes. Seal says things like, "Mix these 2 magic corners," or, "Make this magic circle," and Rimuru does the tests. But Seal-san says that unraveling the laws and magic of this universe is very complicated. He even said that he might be receiving interference from a high-level being of this universe, but Rimuru denied the idea, because there is no one in this universe who knows about his power. Rimuru trains in an abandoned training ground, as no one there sees him experimenting with high-level magic, but strangely today Rimuru's ability, magical perception, detected someone in the training ground. In the stands Rimuru saw a beautiful girl with a ponytail. She was half shrinking, crying in a low voice. Rimuru recognized her as Yaegashi Shizuku. It was obvious that she was not okay, so Rimuru stepped forward and asked what had happened. Rimuru-kun. Don't worry, I'm fine, but how did you find me here? How can I not worry about you? You're crying and hiding. Rimuru wanted to refute but thought it was better not to force the issue and decided to answer her. "Oh, I train here. That's why I'm here, and why are you here crying? You can talk to me, you know. We have been friends since childhood and friends are good for this moment too." Shizuku seemed reluctant to speak, but was convinced by Rimuru's words and said, "Yeah. It's just that I can't stop thinking about the feeling. Sensation. Of taking a life. Ah. Rimuru understood what she was talking about. Today's morning training was fighting magic beasts and it was fight to kill, so Shizuku seemed to be feeling bad about it. I see. Yagashi-san, are you feeling guilty for taking a life or is it something else? No, it's just that. Tears began to flow from her eyes. She looked really bad about something. I don't know if I'm going to be ready for war. I don't want to go out killing people I don't know. I've always wanted to do good, but now I'm going to get ready to kill people in other people's wars and I don't know what I should do. You know, I think at such times it is good to learn from other people's experiences. Yagashi-san. I already said that you can call me Shizuku when we are not around others. Ah yes. Actually the two were very close, but in the first year of middle school when people heard them calling each other by their first names, getting along, and how popular and good-looking the two were, people at school would bombard them with questions like, what's your relationship with Onisama? Or, are you two boyfriend and girlfriend? Or, is it true that you've kissed? Many of these questions came from the Soul Sisters, Shizuku's fan club. So because of these occurrences they decided not to call each other so casually in public. Shizuku-chan, can I tell you a story? I guess so. Shizuku was confused by his words, but let Rimuru speak. Once upon a time there was a very clever slime. Shizuku looked at Rimuru a little curious. This slime became friends with a powerful dragon and got his blessing. The dragon's blessing added to his own power caused him to create a new city for monsters that eventually became a country. This country became prosperous and very rich, but then a neighboring nation with a greedy king took the opportunity when the slime ruler was out of the country to attack his nation. Shizuku was still listening without interrupting, but she was a little confused by the story. Rimuru had a serious look on his face as he told the story, so Shizuku did not interrupt him. The invaders killed several inhabitants before he returned, including some of Slime's friends. The slime suffered from the loss, but did not explode with anger. That was because he learned that 20,000 more enemy soldiers were marching into his kingdom. So he decided to use them. To Shizuku the story was getting stranger and stranger. Yes, for an ancient ritual that had only a 3% chance of working. But for the ritual he needed 20,000 souls. So he put all his faith in that 3% chance. The slime used his power to slaughter his enemies and harvested their souls. He used the souls in the ritual and it worked from that day on and he became known as a demon lord. But no matter what people thought of him because of his actions, he didn't care because his friends and his country were fine. Is that the ending? Shizuku asked, still not understanding the point of the story. No, there is a lot more to it, but the part one want to tell you is this. The point of the story is that Slime chose what was important to himself. What do you mean? I still don't understand what you're getting at. See, he didn't care whether it was right or wrong, he didn't prioritize the many over the few. He simply decided to prioritize those who were important to him, those he was sworn to protect. I don't know if I would do that if I were there, another if I were in his shoes, but I think if you choose what is important to you, you can figure out what you want to do from here on out, and if you want my help just ask. If you want to escape the kingdom I can help you. If you want to protect your colleagues and fight in the war, one will help you. If you hesitate to kill someone I will do my best to support you. Rimuru spoke confidently to show his support to Shizuku. Shizuku stared at him with a thoughtful expression and then spoke. You mean, you would destroy an army of 20,000 just to save me? She spoke this in a wry tone, but she also seemed a bit shy, so maybe she wanted to know Rimuru's real answer. To this Shizuku, Rimuru decided to answer sincerely. Well, sure. Shizuku-chan is a very important friend to me. Shizuku blushed at his direct answer. That's because Rimuru said she was important to him. Rimuru was also a little embarrassed to say so. Shizuku moved a little closer to Rimuru in her seat. She looked up at the sky as if she was thinking about something and said, Alright, I think I've decided. I'm going to go to war, not to kill demons or anything but to protect my friends. She stood up. As she spoke she clenched her fist with determination. Ooh. Rimuru clapped her hands as she was in awe of Rimuru's determination. Yosh, I don't think I'll train today. I think I'm hungry. I'll eat something. I'll be going then, Shizuku-chan, until later. Wait, Rimuru-kun. What? Rimuru was about to leave, but Shizuku stopped him. It's just that If you want you can go back to calling me Shizuku-chan in public. Besides, she was red while talking that, why is she red? Well, it must be nothing. Rimuru thought. Shizuku moved a little closer to Rimuru and hugged him. Thank you very much. Shizuku thanked him for the conversation, as it helped her clear her thoughts. Rimuru turned red at her thanks. He also turned that way from the fact that Shizuku hugged him very tightly so Rimuru could feel her breasts touching him. Isn't this reaction a bit over the top? She can't be interested in me, can she? Well, even if that's the case, I'm engaged. I can't have anything with her. Damn. This teenage body is exploding with desire. To think that such a cute girl could be interested in me. No. I'm engaged. Seal-san, show me pictures of my beloved fast. What do you mean there are no pictures? What about all the ones you took on our dates? Bastard. That's good, I'm going then, Shizuku-chan. Rimuru-kun. Don't you want to go to practice together with me today? She asked, still half red from hugging him. Rimuru accepted and the two headed to the training ground. Filled circle. Hajime was walking to the training field. By the time he arrived, there were some students there who were already training and some chatting. Hajime picked up his western sword that was given to him for his free training, and just then he felt a blow on his back. He hurried to take a step forward and looked back. He frowned when he saw Hyama's gang behind him. They always caused trouble for Hajime during training. Yo Nagumo, what are you doing? It makes no sense you use a sword, you are useless after all. Hey Hayama, you take it too hard even if it's true, wehehehe. If I were you I would be ashamed to train, hehe. They fell into laughter again. Hey Nagumo, since I'm a nice guy I'll train with you. Yeah, we'll help you train Nagumo too. Hajime tried to deny it but they wouldn't let him get away with it. Then they started beating Hajime with magic attacks. Hajime could only curse his own weakness. Just as Hayama was about to attack Hajime with the hilt of his sword, he stopped. No, he was stopped by the boy in front of him. Blue hair, a blue coat, a white mask with black as red details, and a straight sword on his back. Yes, it was Rimuru. Hi. What do you guys think you're doing? When he said this he removed the mask and released Demon Lord Haki, which made all students break out in a cold sweat. Rimuru told Hajime that he wouldn't interfere anymore, but he felt that the gang went too far this time. With Hajime's injuries he might have even died. Rimuru was about to attack when he heard a voice that made the gang more scared than when Rimuru activated Demon Lord Haki. Hey, what are you guys doing? It was the voice of Kaori, who was standing next to Ryotaro and Kuki. Shizuku was already at the training camp as she arrived next to Rimuru. No, please don't misunderstand. We were just helping Nagumo in his training. Nagumo-kun. Kaori ignored Hyama's explanation and ran to Hajime, who was crouching and coughing non-stop. Special training? Rimuru asked. Yes, it's just that. Hayama and the others left in a hurry. Under the light of Kaori's healing magic, Hajime's injuries healed completely. Thank you, Shirasaki-san, I'm fine now. Does this happen often? If that's the case, Kaori stared at the direction Hayama and the others ran off. No, it's not always like this. It's okay, I'm fine. But Hajime reassured her with a smile and she finally gave in. Nagumo-kun, if you have any problems, feel free to tell me. If not, you can talk to Kaori. Shizuku forced a smile as she looked agonizedly at Kaori. Hajime thanked her, but to throw cold water on the situation, he had the hero talent. But Nagumo should train more. Sorry won't help you get stronger. I heard that you stay in the library all the time. If you trained seriously and got stronger, Hyama's gang won't bully you again. How should I respond to that? Hajime thought. Kuki was a person who believed that there was no evil in people's hearts. In his line of thinking, there was no evil in humanity. Hajime was already exhausted and didn't have the energy to explain the situation, so he just sighed. Shizuku, who understood the situation, apologized softly. Sorry, he has no bad intentions. It's okay, don't worry. After this incident, Captain Meld arrived and called everyone. Okay, people, approach. The students approached and he declared. Tomorrow we will go to the big Orcus dungeon to train. Ch.5. Orcus Labyrinth, a labyrinth with hundreds of floors. Filled with magical beasts, and the further you go down, the stronger the magical beasts get. The second floors of the dungeon were very famous and attracted many mercenaries who loved to collect magic nuclei from weak monsters. but the lower floors were very dangerous and were never fully explored. At the moment, the students were in an inn near this dungeon. They were going to sleep in order to be well rested when they went to train in the labyrinth tomorrow. A labyrinth with hundreds of floors, filled with magical beasts, and the further you go down, the stronger the magical beasts get. The second floors of the dungeon were very famous and attracted many mercenaries who loved to collect magic nuclei from weak monsters. But the lower floors were very dangerous and were never fully explored. The Orcus dungeon magic stones or magic nuclei were stones found in various sizes that were used to make magic circles and healing or monowells. Hajime was the only one who was alone in his room. The other classmates were in rooms for two. Well, at least this way I can rest. Hajime spoke and threw himself on the bed. He was about to go to sleep when. Knock. Knock, Hajime-kun, can I come in? Kaori knocked on his door. What does she want at this hour? Hajime thought as he opened the door, and when it opened, there was Kaori with a negligee. A very explicit sleepwear that was not open in many places, but was transparent on several parts of her body. Hajime did his best not to stare and spoke in a somewhat timid voice. Oh. Hi Shirasaki-san. Why are you here? Kaori tilted her head in confusion at his reaction. What? I just want to talk, Nagumo-kun. No, nothing. You can come in. She came in and sat down while Hajime prepared some tea. When he finished preparing the tea, he poured it for Kaori and him. Kaori thanked him. As she spoke about the trip to the dungeon tomorrow. I want you to stay here. I will persuade the instructors as our colleagues, so please. She pleaded with Hajime, who was perplexed. Even though he was a nuisance, wasn't that too much? That was her thought. Maybe you are right. I know I'm a burden. Maybe I really should stay here. You're wrong. It's not because you are a burden. Kaori tried to undo the misunderstanding. She thought she was being too harsh, but Hajime didn't think so. Kaori took a deep breath, put her hand on her chest and said. That was very sudden, sorry. It's just that when I slept I had a dream. It was about Nagumo-kun. I was calling you and you didn't realize I couldn't reach you, and in the end you disappeared. I see. If Hajime stayed for traffic, the situation with his colleagues would definitely get worse. He would certainly not be welcome. He would have no choice but to go to the dungeon, and even if Kaori having a bad dream, even Hajime didn't think that was a good excuse, so imagine his colleagues. A dream is just a dream, Shirasaki-san. This time we have the knights to protect us, and we also have many strong people like my brother and Kuki. Besides, our room is amazing. Even I feel bad for our enemies. Only I am very weak. I wonder if you didn't have this dream because of that? While listening to him, Kaori looked down with a worried expression. If you are worried then. So? Hajime looked Kaori in the eye as he spoke, embarrassed. Are you going to protect me? Shirasaki-sa is a healer, isn't she? If I get hurt, you heal me. As long as you're around, you can protect me with your power, can't you? Hajime spoke half embarrassed. He was embarrassed to ask a girl to protect him, but he said it to reassure her. They looked into each other's eyes in silence. Some time passed, and Kaori said, You never change. Hajime got a confused expression and Kaori laughed at his expression. Nagumo-kun. You probably think we've known each other since middle school, but I actually saw you for the first time back in elementary school. Hajime was surprised and confused at the same time. No matter how hard he searched his memories, he couldn't remember this encounter. When I saw you, you were protesting in the middle of the street. I really couldn't believe what I was seeing. You were surrounded by suspicious people. Even when they hit you, you didn't stop kneeling. After that they walked away perplexed. I showed you such an unpleasant scene. An embarrassed smile appeared on his face. It was the same smile as when he discovered that his mother had organized his collection of erotic light novels. His mother worked with manga, so she certainly knew what kind of books those were. Kaori was looking at Hajime with kind eyes. No, it wasn't unpleasant. When I saw you I thought you were very strong as kind. Huh? Does she have a fetish or something? Hajime thought, confused. It's because you did it for a grandmother as your grandson. Hajime remembered an incident that happened when he was coming home from school. He saw a bunch of delinquents bullying a little boy and a grandmother because the little boy spilled ice cream on her shirt. Then an filled circle Orcus dungeon. At the moment the students were on the 20th floor of the dungeon. Kuki, Rimuru, Meld and the knights were standing guard in case of monster attacks. On the way here the students fought against magical beasts that attacked them, with Kuki, Rimuru, Kaori, Shizuku and Ryotaro with Meld in front and the students behind while the knights were around them. The knights were letting the students do most of the work. While watching to make sure they didn't let them get hurt, they also weakened some monsters for Hajime to kill. They were impressed by Hajime's determination. He used his ability to transmute on the ground to trap the monsters' feet and killed them with his dagger. But of course the most impressive was Rimuru, who killed the monsters as if they were nothing. By the way, the students received several sacred artifacts that improved their skills. Kuki got a special sword that could only be wielded by the hero. That was called the Sacred Sword. He also received the best armor the kingdom had. The other students also received high-level equipment, and even Hajime received a glove that made him spend less mana on synergist skills. Rimuru was also offered high-level equipment, but he denied it and demonstrated his mana materialization skill. Immediately a black outfit covered him. He also had a straight katana on his back and a well-detailed white mask. Everyone was surprised by his super convenient ability, especially after he said they all had high resistance. Kaori was given a staff to increase the effectiveness of her healing magic. Shizuku was a samurai, so she was expecting a katana but ended up getting a normal thin sword. Ryotaro received gloves of a super hard material for his fighter class. The other students also received items for their respective classes. Kaori always kept checking to see if Hajime was okay, and when their gazes met she gave him a smile that made him look away in embarrassment, but he didn't look away just out of embarrassment. He had a strange feeling when his and Kaori's gazes met. It was a chill down his spine, as if a psychotic killer were staring at him from behind, but when he looked around he didn't see anyone looking at him. At the moment the students were resting and drinking water. Hajime took some water and saw Kaori looking at him, and she smiled gently at him. Shizuku, who noticed this, spoke in a playful tone. "Hey Kaori, why do you keep looking at Nagumo-kun? Are you thinking of making a real-life romantic comedy? The title could be, Safadeza in a Dungeon. What do you think?" "Mou. Shizuku-chan. Don't talk nonsense. I was just wondering if Nagumo-kun was okay. That's all." Kaori blushed at Shizuku's teasing. The romantic comedy was already in full swing with this comment. Shizuku noticed that Kaori got annoyed and kept her mouth shut, but her expression showed that she was enjoying herself. Kaori, who noticed this, stewed her still red cheeks and said, "It's serious." Hajime continued looking at them but stopped when he felt that look that gave him a chill down his spine again. "Who is that rascal?" "Sigh," he muttered softly. The students finished their barefooting and continued on their way until they reached the last room on the 20th floor. This room had a complicated feature. The walls were filled with stones that looked like stalactites. When they arrived in the room they didn't see any monsters, which made them relax a little, but they raised their guard at Meld's words. "They are cloaked, be careful." After that the wall deformed and out of it came a creature that seemed to be made of earth in the shape of a gorilla that jumped to attack them. "Be careful with your arms." The earth monster attacked Kuki, but was stopped by Ryotaro's fist. At the same time Shizuku and Kuki attacked the golem from the sides. The monster shattered with the double attack. Meanwhile Meld defeated 2 golems with his great sword. Rimuru also drew his katana, which ignited in black flames and cut in half 3 golems. He also secretly used his supreme ability, King of Gluttony Belzebuth, to consume another golem for Seal to analyze his abilities. The other students and the knights also easily defeated the other golems, showing how cheated they were. Then they hear a loud shout from the back of the room. "Gerwa!" There was a golem 3 times bigger than the others. It was made of a material that looked like black metal, and it cast the intimidating ability that caused the students to cringe. It ran at the students with overwhelming speed at the students. Kaori, Eri and Suzu cringed and stopped their spells while giving frightened screams at the hideous appearance of the creature. Meld noticed this and shouted, "Hey, what are you guys doing? This is a fight." The girls came back to their senses and spoke ashamedly, "Sorry." There was one young man who was furious about this situation. Was our hero, Amanogawa Kuki. "How dare you frighten them? I will not forgive you." Kuki seemed to have mistaken the girl's repulsion for fear, and he was angry at that misunderstanding. "Reach for the skies, rising lightning. You idiot, stop now." Completely ignoring Meld, Kuki's incantation made his sword glow and threw a blade of light at the crystal golem. The light easily shattered him and hit the wall behind him. Debris fell from the wall, making it almost collapse. Kuki looked at the girls with a bright smile and stewed his chest as if to say, I saved you guys, it's okay now. Meld approached and slapped him. Hugh. You idiot, don't use a skill like that in a place like this, and if the room collapses what are you going to do? Kuki apologized and the girls approached him with dull smiles trying to comfort him. At that moment the wall that had been hit collapsed, revealing a light making everyone look in their direction. Meld-san, what is that? Kaori pointed to the glowing crystal and asked. The other girls were also delighted with the beautiful crystal that looked like a diamond sparkling. That is a France crystal, and one of that size is rare. Its beautiful appearance makes it very popular with women, making it very expensive. It's beautiful. Kaori blushed as she secretly looked at Hajime. Shizuku was one of the only ones who noticed that. If it's like that we should get one. The one who said that and quickly moved towards the crystal was Hayama. He climbed up the rubble to reach the crystal. Hey! Don't do what you want like that, we haven't confirmed if it's safe. Meld shouted in panic, but Hayama pretended he didn't hear and reached out his hand for the crystal. At this moment Knight, who was holding a trap detector device, shouted in panic. Commander, it's a trap. But it was already too late. Hayama touched the crystal and the next moment the students found themselves on a wide, old-looking but sturdy bridge. Then at the bottom of the bridge appeared a large magic circle. And from the magic circle appeared a bull with blue skin and yellow horns. He was so big if he went to the side he would fall off the bridge. Rua, he gave a deafening roar. Be behemoth. Commander Meld muttered as he looked at the light coming from the other side of the bridge. There several skeletons appeared. Shit. Rimuru, Kuki, help me hold this thing. Knights, huh? Then Meld realized that neither Rimuru nor the knights were there. It was just Meld and the rest of the students. Filled circle, filled circle, filled circle. Rimuru was in a dark room. But that didn't mean anything to him, not least because the method he used to visualize things was his ability of 360 degrees vision, magical perception that didn't need light to work. He saw the bodies of the knights beside him, but what surprised him most was Ciel's analysis. What? Rimuru was surprised because this world had no magic concentration and used a different magic than Rimuru's world. There was not supposed to be any magic in this world, so how was he detecting a high concentration of magic? Another surprise was that Ciel told him that the original place the trap would transport them was not this one and that the spell had received some powerful interference that brought them to this room. Then the magical perception detected someone. A man in green and black clothes. He had white hair, totally red eyes and a skeletal face. He was holding a double-edged dagger in his hand. Rimuru realized that this man was the source of the high concentration of magic who killed the knights. The man took the body of one of the knights, ripped off its head and burned it. Soon after he sat on a rock and began to sharpen his dagger on its skull as he spoke. So you are Lord Demon Rimuru, huh? He declared in an arrogant voice.